Welcome to the 1-Year Book of Mormon. A non-Mormon reads through the Book of Mormon. 2 Nephi, chapter 24. Chapter overview. This is a near copy of Isaiah 14. So we're going to look at the differences between these in Isaiah in the Bible and 2 Nephi. Verse 2 has several differences between Isaiah and the Book of Mormon. The first sentence is identical. And the people shall take them and bring them to their place. But then the Book of Mormon inserts, yea, from far unto the ends of the earth, and they shall return to their lands of promise. Note the plural, lands, while the Bible only ever has land of promise, singular. This does a couple of things for Mormonism. By the Israelites being brought from the ends of the earth, it, on one hand, undermines the Book of Mormon claim that the Nephites and Lamanites are Israel, or else they'd be returned, wouldn't they? They would come back from the Americas to Israel. But, on the other hand, by adding lands, plural, of promise, it allows for the Book of Mormon people to remain in the Americas. But that's at the expense of contradicting the Bible, by making the Americas a land of promise in addition to the land of Israel. The next clause is identical, and the house of Israel shall possess them, but the section after it contains the following discrepancies. In the land of the Lord becomes and the land of the Lord, and the phrase shall be is added before for servants and handmaids. So, that can be confusing. Without breaking up the verse, let's read it as one whole in Isaiah. And the people shall take them and bring them to their place. And the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids. And they shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. So the thrust of the statement, especially in the context of verse 1, is that the situation of the Israelites and the Babylonians, that is, the strangers in verse 1, becomes reversed. The servants become the masters, the captives become the leaders, the oppressed people become the rulers. The Israelites were captives and servants, but then they returned to their land with Babylonians as their servants. By changing in the land to and the land, Joseph Smith here removed the land promise being here made to the people of Israel, that this would happen when, not if, but when they returned to their homeland. But even worse, by saying that the land shall be for servants and handmaids, rather than that the strangers themselves will be servants and handmaids, it turns the whole meaning upside down. In the context, then, the Book of Mormon is saying that the land of Israel will become the lawful possession of the foreign servants and handmaids. I think Joseph Smith was saying that the land of Israel would return to being the possession of the Israelites who were at one time servants and handmaids, but such a reading disrupts the flow of the context. The last change is a minor one and sounds like it was just an attempt of Joseph Smith to say the same thing in different words, changing whose captives they were to unto whom they were captives. This makes me wonder if the previous statement was a similar attempt that Joseph Smith bungled, or if he was actually meaning to change the statement, as he ended up doing. Verse 11 contains another discrepancy, but one that says the same thing while changing the words. The first part of the sentence is the same. Thy pomp is brought down to the grave. Then, and the noise of thy viols becomes, the noise of thy viols is not heard. Isaiah was saying, thy pomp and the noise of thy viols is brought down to the grave. That is, it's silenced. So the meaning is the same. And what appears to be the situation is that Joseph Smith didn't understand the construction of the sentence and thought he was fixing Isaiah so that it would complete the thought, without realizing that the thought was actually complete, even if it was expressed in sort of a fragmentary way. Verse 12 has an odd discrepancy. First, let's look at it as it is in Isaiah. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which did weaken the nations? The Book of Mormon deletes the second how, making the last sentence sound more like a question than an exclamation. Art thou cut down to the ground which did weaken the nations? Verse 19 is another weird change. The context is saying that the king of Babylon is not to be honored in his death like all the other kings lying in state in their palace before burial. but instead will be cast out of thy grave like an abominable branch. And here's the change. As the raiment of those that are slain becomes as the remnant of those that are slain. Very likely Joseph Smith just misread this, being more familiar with the word remnant rather than raiment. Obviously, the clothes of people who are killed, most likely in battle, it would seem, would be bloody and possibly full of holes thrust through with a sword. So these clothes would not be valuable, maybe not even able to be worn at all. And that makes raiment make sense here. When the Bible speaks of a remnant, though, it's usually, if not always, said to be the blessed people whom God has preserved from some misfortune or sin. As such, this change does not make sense against a biblical backdrop.